Right. In preparing for this talk, I was going through all of my notes and all of the tickets and making sure that everything was in line. And I realized that I had forgotten to request director's chairs for us to sit in. And so I sent out a quick email of, oh, shoot, I'm so sorry, I forgot to request these chairs. Is there any way that we can get some chairs for the day? And the response was, no, we're cleaning up from I/O. Sorry, but we can't get them to you today. And one of the lessons in the book is that no is not the end of a conversation, it's the beginning of a conversation. And me, before reading this book, would have said, oh, okay, I got to know, that must be the end. But I really did think of the book and think, okay, no does not mean absolutely not. It means what's a different approach? What's a different question that can be asked? And so I responded, well, is there any way that I can go pick them up somewhere? I understand you can't drop them off, but can I go pick them up? To which I got a response, actually, I was able to arrange it so that they can be dropped off for you. And it worked. It was amazing. That was just one of the many topics that you highlight in this book.
All right, so first of all, thanks for getting me a chair. I appreciate that. Now, the interesting thing about that story, though, is two really important points. First of all, there's a lot more space between yes and no than most of us realize. Sometimes we get into sort of a binary on-off, yes-no sort of thinking, and we don't realize how much space there really is there if we just give the other side a little bit of time to sort of think, a moment, if you will. There's some data out there that indicates to us that a moment is just 3 seconds, and three seconds can be an eternity for mind process. So the other thing that's also really interesting about that, and I think it's one of the completely different approaches we take in the book, is what happens after the other side says no. Now, early on in my career, I came across a book that I still refer to all the time called Start With No by a guy named Jim Camp. And Camp's theory was if you make the other side feel free that they can say no at any time, then it respects their autonomy, they'll relax a little bit more, they'll be more willing to work with you, just knowing that it's okay to say no. So we decided to take it one step further and see what happens when someone actually says no. And since yes is protection, yes is commitment, and we don't know what we've gotten ourselves into, which is why we're scared to say yes, but no is protection, that typically what we find is as soon as somebody says no, if they feel protected, they tend to relax, they center a little bit more, and they can think more quickly, which is exactly what happened with you. You inadvertently triggered a no. You remain very pleasant in the way you talk to her, and we know that if we're pleasant to interact with, it actually helps the other person think better because your mind works up to 31% more effectively if you're in a positive frame of mind. So when you're in a positive frame of mind, it triggers it in somebody else and it makes them smarter. Just by smiling at them, you've got a wonderful tone of voice. So she's already making this person smarter by the way she interacts with her. She says, your counterpart says no, which she now sort of centers herself and triggers. You give her a moment in time, and the next thing you know, she's throwing ideas at you and working it out. And that's finding that space between yes and no. And many times it's triggered when the other person actually says no because they feel protected and they feel safe. And people are more likely, once they feel protected and safe, to interact with you. So just in a few short moments, you were brilliant.
Thank you.